I'm Shrishti,
And I'm Anika.
and this is Ad Absurdum.
Today we're going to be talking about the general concept of free will and why it matters. So, loosely, we all know what free will means, but based on your actual definition, your belief system can greatly vary.
Yeah. And more importantly, that those belief systems are important to hold and important to discuss because free will plays an integral role
In general philosophy,
in general philosophy and particularly discussion surrounding moral responsibility.
moral responsibility is so important to our day-to-day lives. It shows in your political systems, your political beliefs, your religious identity. Morality is a huge topic in the topic of God.
Yeah, definitely. And how free will and moral responsibility connect is that if we don't have free will, that as in we don't have complete control over the actions, our intentions, and our desires, then does that make her accountable for our actions if we can't even choose them by our own, autonomy?
Yeah, for example, will you be able to criminalize someone for killing someone else if all of their actions weren't really their responsibility?
Yeah, exactly. So it brings up like an important topic about accountability and whether it's viable to hold people more responsible and thus
Yeah.
accountable for their actions. And I mean, this is what all our justice system and
Political,
exactly
everything
policies
basically.
is based off. It's so integral to our daily lives.
So the main argument, obviously free will has been discussed extensively through our human history because we're human beings, and as human beings we like to ponder upon our own existence and why we matter in the world. But the more recent discussions around free will center determinism, and determinism is the idea because all of your actions are predetermined in the sense of what? Imagine the laws of physics and how the particles intertwine. Imagine if all of that is predetermined, even though it isn't. We'll come to that later. And in the psychological sense, how you grew up affects how you are right now. In the social sense, how the society conditions you to behave affects how you behave. Does that negate free will completely?
Yeah, and so that's essentially like the determinist question,
Yeah.
essentially, which arises from two Greek philosophers, which I believe to be Democritus and Lysippus.
Right. Them.
Lysippus?
Yeah, Lysippus. Oh, who cares about old Greek people anyway? They don't. I
Okay.
don't think they care. Freya.
Okay, fine, it's fine. Okay.
Yeah, I really don't think anyone cares.
Anyways, this deterministic line of questioning was, brought up and was first reported to be brought up by these two Greek philosophers, which are named Lysippus and Democritus. And then later, Pierre-Simon Laplace, he further questioned if we have predetermined events, then an omniscient being should be able to, predict the future. So given if we all know all constants, all variables, all factors, right? If we have knowledge of them, then we should be able to predict the future. So that's where like the evolution of determinism essentially,
Came from.
Yeah.
Based on this not loose definition, but so determinism in itself is a pretty hard concept. But based on that concept, several more belief systems can arrive. First is pretty basic, hard determinism or incompatibilism. Incompatibilism is basically the idea because determinism is a real thing and free will is a real thing, they cannot combine. Incompatibilism and people who believe determinism is true are called hard determinists, which means because determinism is true, free will can't be true. On top of that, we have compatibilism. It's more like a loose definition of determinism, more in a more casual sense, that determinism is true, but we can control certain variables and loosely change the definition of free will to make free will a true thing. And then we have libertarianists? Libertarianism, which
Yeah.
is also another form of incompatibilism. In that sense, you also believe determinism and free will can't be intertwined. But in this particular aspect, you believe that determinism isn't true.
So I think the most interesting of them all, in my opinion, is compatibilism because it proposes the idea that free will and determinism can exist simultaneously.
This is where the idea of the definitions of free will changing a little
Exactly.
comes. Because as Shrishti is a more leading hard determinist, she can explain her definition to you.
Okay, so for me, free will is the capability to choose your own actions or for events to occur without the influence of any external or internal factors.
Internal factors?
Yeah, internal factors, like desires, for example.
But no, desires would determine your choice, wouldn't they?
So external factors. Okay, I'll repeat that. Yeah. So for me, essentially, for me as a person that leans towards hard determinism more, I define free will as the capability to choose and like to take actions or for events to occur without the influence of any sort of external events or factors.
Oh yeah. As a compatibilist, I believe free will is the choice you make. Essentially, just that free will is the choices you make, regardless of what influenced you to make them. Because in the end, those choices are yours.
Yeah, essentially. So it's more hers is more choice based. Mine is all just on all external factors to note, which is incredibly intriguing, right? You see like these shifts in like the definitions of free will and what how people perceive them to be, right? And it's basically just to some degree it is just semantics, right? And the weighting of certain factors and the others when it comes to conversations about what free will actually is. And to note on that point, I would like to bring up like for hard determinism, there's been um, scientific rebuttals due to quantum.
Oh yeah, wasn't
Yeah.
there like a thing about how quantum physics includes this major point of randomness?
Exactly. So, in certain, at a microscopic level, these certain particles, um, in quantum mechanics, there is some randomness observed.
Some
Which,
randomness?
yeah, some randomness observed.
Okay.
Essentially, in how the particles behave and act and like the actions of.
Right, okay.
Yes, yes, there's some randomness, which essentially goes against what deterministic line of thinking essentially conveys, which is oh that like all events lead up to one each other, but since there's randomness, there's uncertainty about the events that are occurring, that sort of puts the hard determinists in a
Unrealistic.
flimsy in
Yeah.
a flimsy position when it comes to
But
this.
they overcome that, don't they? By
Yeah.
just saying something along the lines. I don't like their reasoning.
Okay, yeah. Essentially, so how certain hard determinists try to compensate for that is bringing up advocate determinism, which is essentially noting that yes, at like a quantum level, determinism cannot exist, but at a macroscopic level, that is at your social factors, your psychological factors, and even particle factors, just like at a macroscopic level in the entirety, determinism still prevails to be the logical line of thinking.
I don't know. I don't particularly agree with that because determinism is so heavily focused on what would you wait, okay, let's clarify this right now. If you don't believe free will exists, then how do you assign moral responsibility?
Now, see, this is an interesting question that Anika has brought up because other hard determinists would believe that you cannot assign moral responsibility when, sorry, I don't know why I'm laughing. Okay, this is an interesting question Anika brings up because my beliefs sort of alter in a way. They diverge from what typical hard determinists would think, which is that you can't assign moral responsibility. And while I do somewhat agree with that, I think you cannot assign moral responsibility, but you can still hold actions accountable. Like you can
The action took place, and hence
exactly
that action in itself was a bad thing.
exactly
So
exactly
you're saying the chain of events that led up to this was bad.
exactly.
Can you assign morality on such a predetermined thing?
So that's exactly what I'm saying in the sense that you can't technically uh, like allocate more responsibility to this chain of events, right? But what you can do is
That's very compatibilist.
that is
Because
very
that's,
compatibilist.
That's very in line with I believe, you know?
Yeah.
Because even if every decision of yours is influenced by outside factors, it's still your decision. Even if all of those atoms and particles are predetermined to act a certain way, the particles and atom in your body are still you. All of those things, all of the social and psychological factors add up to make you. So in the end, it is your choice that takes place, and that in itself is free will.
Yeah, exactly. Now this is where Anika and I differ because my definition of free will still aligns with the hard determinist definition. So I still do not think that just because it's your choice, it's like necessarily it's indicative of like free will. I just think that, and plus, I don't think you can hence hold people morally responsible. But I do think we can assign certain
I
actions to
don't
be
know. I
punishable.
kind of see a little bit of a flaw in that.
What is the flaw that you notice?
How do you. Morality is a very fickle thing based on what you discuss.
Yeah.
But can you really assign what is morality?
We're diverging. We're diverging.
No, but I feel like this is important to the conversation.
Morality, I think. See, now we're gonna come if you're more subjectivist world. No, we can't do this. We can't do this. We can't. I know you want to. We can't do this. Let's go back. Okay, morality, right? Again,
Okay,
the whole
let's forget
point-
about morality. We can talk about ethics, which is a little more universal.
Yes, sure. Okay, ethics. Now, again, in the same way, basically to clarify my stance, I think you can't place more responsibility on the actor necessarily, but you can. It does have ethical implications that are presented for the actor.
Because the choice took place. Even if you were forced into
The
making
choice or the action? See, that's where I differ.
No, I do believe it was a choice. Even if you
Yeah.
were forced into making that choice, the choice was still yours.
Yeah.
I do believe, in that sense, I mean, I'm not saying it's completely predetermined. I'm still saying that you were the one who took it.
I see. I think, again, our whole there's only a slight difference between what Anika and I believe. To be honest,
Yeah.
like I'm very similar to what the compatibilist line of thinking is. It's just that I still hold that it's not like necessarily a choice. I just think actions can have ethical implications, and those ethical implications can be induced upon the actor itself, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yes.
So, Frishti, earlier you said something about different types of determinism. But before that, can we talk about a little more about what determinism it is on itself and how it implies on different levels? Like, what about the theological aspect?
Yes, of course. So, essentially, there's also a theological argument for hard determinism, which essentially states, like, if you're religious, for example,
Theology is the study concerning around God and religion.
yes, please, that's very important to note. But essentially, so the theological argument, or for hard determinism specifically, is that okay, God is omniscient, right? So God knows. One of the three qualities of God that's always assumed to be true for our viewers is omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. That means
What
omnipresent.
is the difference between all of those three?
Yes. So, omnipotent means that God is all powerful. Omnipresent is that God is like everywhere. Essentially, like, God
Yeah.
is has been existing
Has everywhere or has
not
eyes
not
everywhere?
has been everywhere, but has been existing infinitely. And if I'm not wrong, and then omniscient, as we were talking about, is that God has all true
All-seeing.
knowledge. Yeah.
all true knowledge, all seeing, and everything.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay, those are
So-
the three base properties of God has in most religions. Most
Yeah.
religions are most religions.
Yeah, in most religions, especially
Abrahamic.
Yes, especially Abrahamic religions. I apologize. But basically, those are the three important qualities of God. Anyways, returning to our topic. So now, the theological argument is that since God is omniscient in the sense that He has all knowledge, all true, valid, correct knowledge about all events, right? Then knowing about those factors and knowing about all the constants that are in the universe.
Oh, that
God
negates the
can-
concept of free will for Christians and people
Exactly,
who have specifically
exactly.
stated free will in
Exactly,
their
exactly. So that
Ooh.
would, yeah, exactly. So essentially, because of that, that means that God essentially can predict what's going to happen, and that would also come in line with God being omnipotent, right? God can predict. God knows what exactly all events that are occurring. It's also God is supposed to be all powerful, so He would be able to know the future events anyways. That comes in the omnipotence as well, but also omniscience. So if that occurs, then that means that free will can't exist because you have all knowledge, you have all you have
Isn't that directly contradictory to the religions who specifically stated in their holy religious texts that they possess free will?
yeah, exactly. It's actually quite it's quite a debatable topic because then we come into omnipotence. It's kind of similar to can
Again,
God
I
create-
can argue from a compatibilist point of view, a more classical compatibilist point of view, that even though God is all-seeing, the decisions you make are still yours. He's just aware of those decisions beforehand.
Yeah, that could also be true. That's also a really good argument.
Compatibilist.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
But-
differing viewpoints, basically,
Yeah.
in hard determinism and compatibilism. Wait, between all of this, we forgot to mention the third type.
Libertarianism.
Libertarianism, yes.
Yes. So libertarianism is essentially an incompatibilist position. That means determinism and free will are not compatible, but it holds that free will is essentially there. Like free will exists, and so determinism is false. And it's an incredibly interesting position to have. I think it's mostly supported by a lot of religious figures, if I'm being honest.
I suppose it is.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of people tend to be more like compatibilist on like varying degrees of compatibilism usually, right? But for free will, I think
But
it's
then again, wasn't
incredibly
determinism
inconsistent.
disproved by science and physics? You
Yeah.
told me about the
Yes, so this is important. So determinism is technically on a quantum level false, right? Determinism is false. But again, this is incredibly important to note. Just because determinism is false does not mean that free will exists. Again, they're not, as the compatibilists suggest, they're not antithetical to each other. But in this situation, also they're not, even for like a hard determinist. And the way that functions is basically so on a quantum level, we have absurd like there's the uncertainty principle and essentially and the Bell experiments and etc. And basically there is some randomness that has been found in the actions of like specific particles and entangled particles and etc. There is randomness in events, as in they're not causing each other by any means. All right, now that is at the quantum level. But again, just because there's randomness in the universe, right? Just because there's randomness on this quantum level does not indicate that those particles can choose where to move at, or they're like, but you get what, like, or agents can particularly choose where to move at in the sense.
But randomness completely defeats the idea of determinism in the first place, because randomness, you argue that everything is predetermined, and randomness is the exact opposite of that. Chaos, confusion,
Yes.
terror.
Absolutely. So now, for that, me personally, what I like, my view on this is essentially that yes, I mean, as the physics experiments have proven, there is randomness at a particular level. But I think those random events, right, are at a particular level, essentially advocate determinism. But I think in all other factors, right, like if we take it out of the quantum level and we just take particles like generally, right,
Generally,
then
as
they
the
do
whole they
follow.
make up.
Yeah, then or just like in general, determinist still holds true. So it's sort of similar akin
I
to
don't know.
adequate
Seems kind of
determinism.
fickle to me.
Why does it seem fickle to you?
Because it kind of just sounds like you're making up excuses to deny the fact that things are not.
No, again,
Always
I'm not
according-
denying the randomness of certain particles, right? But now these particles have like come together and like we can assume they've created all of like humanity and universe and da, 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 da. And so from those random events, right, have arise deterministic chains of actions. Does that make sense? Like the one, just because one event is random, right? Like just because a particle, just because there's one random event, that random event can lead to one action, which can lead to another event, and etc. So it's not necessary that just because the origin is random, that all the chains of like deterministic chains
No, but
are.
that's what I mean. It feels
Sorry,
like
all
you're-
the chains are determined.
feels like you're making
indeterministic.
excuses again, because it's not. We're not just saying that these particles in themselves are random, but
Yeah,
that
the
is
one
what
we're
partic-
saying because it's
and
at the
that's
quantum
one
level.
Oh, shush. Okay, we're not just saying that the particles are random only at the origin or a particular point in time. No, the cause of reactions that happen afterwards are. There's also some.
No, I'm
it's-
pretty sure it's only at the only at the quantum level, only in these entangled particles themselves.
Quantum level doesn't mean like the at the beginning of the universe.
I'm not saying at the beginning of the universe. I'm just saying at like these entangled pairs at a microscopic level. But at a macroscopic level, it does
But
pretty
the microscopic makes up the macroscopic. How can you argue just that?
Yeah,
just
but
because
like
something's happening here,
okay,
it's
okay,
fine?
but like okay, fine. So, but then we're gonna come at like I want whatever. But but microscopic. See, yeah, sure. There's microscopic chains of events, and there's like they're indeterministic by means, right? And then they led to one macroscopic event. Let's say now from that macroscopic event is a determinist line.
I suppose
Actions.
you can claim some ground
Yeah.
over there
Yeah, exactly.
for the lab, because I can't think of any better arguments at the moment.
All right.
Right. Okay. Back to our original point. We deviated
Yeah.
a lot over there. Back to our original point. There were two types of determinism, as you mentioned.
Yeah. No, there's not two types of determinism.
Really?
No. There's just like different varieties of determinism against our
Okay.
arguments for determinism. The only two types of determinism are hard and soft determinism, which is hard determinism, and soft determinism is just basically compatibilism.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those-
Soft casual determinism. Soft determinism.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
basically
But basically,
there's some leniency over there.
yeah. But I saw this argument being brought up somewhere about I think it was by I don't want to say it because I might be wrong, but it was but it was by a notable figure, and it was about like them essentially conveying that actions aren't deterministic, but probabilities of actions are, which
Huh.
I think is super interesting. It's essentially conveying that there can't be a deterministic line of actions, like, but there is deterministic probability. So, like, if one event occurs, right, that leads to
That's just getting lost in what ifs.
perhaps, but like, I do find it quite intriguing because imagine this: so, like, one event occurs, right? So instead of that event, like, let's say from the first cause, whatever, which is also debatable first
Yeah.
cause argument, but no, we're not going there.
Beginning,
We're not
origin
going
of
there.
things,
Yeah,
yes.
we're not going over there.
Duh.
But let's just say one original event occurs, right?
Mhm.
Now that event that event leads to a probability of another event, like a set probability of the other event occurring, right? But that doesn't mean the event will occur. It's just a probability that the event will occur. Does that make sense?
It feels
And then
like
that leads to
diving in.
probabilities.
I feel like that's just diving into what ifs. Like in the basic sense, that's basically, oh, if I did that, there's a chance to happen this and this, then this, and then this, and then this.
But
How's it
exactly, the
determinism?
determinism, like that.
Oh, yeah, that is determinism.
Yeah, because the
Because
the
there's a chain of
probabilities are
thought.
derived from each
Oh,
other. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so like what ifs are basically determinism. That was a cool fact. I didn't. I did not realize that on a
It's
scale.
okay. But essentially, the probabilities of things happening are derived from each other. So there's in like this sort of determinism, there's actually still a chance that like an event, like a highly probable event, might not occur, right? But
Oh,
it's just that
that leads into
exact-
soft and casual determinism
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
compatibilism. Not compatibilism per se, but like in the casual determinism where you can still make choice and have free will between those different probabilities.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, so if we have probabilistic determinism, what do you think are the implications of that for moral responsibility?
Moral responsibility.
Yeah, and probabilistic determinism, the ones that.
I mean, the general idea that we've been talking about is that if you have free will, then there is moral responsibility assigned to each individual who has free will. But in a sense where you're choosing from probabilities, does that mean there's only specific, like, oh, there's only a percentage of weight you can of moral responsibility you can assign?
I think that's such an incredibly relevant question to ask because it does like if I have like the probability, like if my probability of doing something is determined, right? Like it is like, oh yeah, like Frishti, for example, is going to eat ice cream or she's going to eat watermelon, and there's like a 50% chance of this and 50% chance of this. And so like if I eat watermelon, right, could I still be held morally responsible for the fact that I might have eaten ice cream?
I don't think people can be held as morally responsible for the desire. Responsibility occurs on the actions you take and how they imprint on reality.
Right, that's intriguing as well. So that would be your perspective, but I'd say
Not my perspective.
Yeah.
I don't think you
Okay,
can be
no,
held morally or ethically responsible for
for actions
events
you
that
didn't
didn't,
take.
events that didn't occur.
What about intentions? Like if I had the intention, like
No, intentions.
intention-
Everyone has intentions. On a psychological aspect, everyone's grown up in some sort of social or cultural place, and just because you've lived in that culture, there was this really cool analogy by Anne Green. We're all just fish swimming in a sea of culture, and since we've all consumed culture to an extent, we will all always hold certain beliefs and have certain intentions. It is our moral responsibility comes on to where we reason and actually think about those things and the actions
Right.
we take according to our reason and rational thought.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to reconcile the two. If I'm being honest, I just think determinist probability is really cool because it's just so. I think it's just really interesting that to think about probabilities being derived from each other and like in like a real in the real world sense too. Like okay, like for
Oh
example,
wait, on the topic of rational thought,
yeah.
can you persecute someone if an action they took while they weren't rational?
As in, like, can I persecute someone if like
They were in the right state of mind, because that's why we have laws, don't we? Like people being exempt from murder cases because they weren't in the right state of mind or not mentally
Right.
sound.
So now we're gonna what we might have dived into now is going to be a bit of the different types of compatibilism, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, which is soft and hard compatibilism. Now, hard compatibilism, in terms of moral responsibility, would only like first of all they both believe that free will and I should clarify,
Determinism, yeah, coexist.
coexist. Soft and hard compatibilism both agree upon that. It's just that hard compatibilism would only look at your action specifically and be like, okay, Anika took the action of murdering someone,
And hence she
she's
is
held more.
responsible.
So they would not look at the upbringing, biological factors, anything of that sort at all.
I mean, because like we acknowledge that it's due to those upbringing and biological factors that you took that action.
Yeah, but
you're
it's
still
not
prosecuted
considered.
for that action.
Exactly,
because
it's
you're
not
the one that
considering
took it.
Yeah, it's
I
not
mean, you were
considering
the one
judgment.
responsible for not thinking rationally.
Yeah, because
Because
in that sense,
The events make you not the opposite. way.
yeah. So essentially, in that sense, you'd if I have like a person that had a terrible upbringing, etc., those factors would be irrelevant when it comes to persecution. The only thing you're considering is just the action itself, right?
Right.
Now, in soft compatibilism, I believe, what would occur now is that, oh, in terms of moral responsibility, okay, I'm looking at like the deterministic factors. I'm considering them in my line of judgment. So, okay, this person had like a terrible upbringing. This person has certain psychological, biological, like they have certain like physiological makeup that, you know,
That
elicits.
affects them. They're
Yeah.
not in the right state of mind.
Exactly.
basically.
Yeah, exactly. So when
Forget about upbringing. Even if I like lean in heavily into like this, all of these events have leaned up to cause them to be in this state of mind, and hence you're saying in that instance we would still prosecute them, but a little on the safer side,
or safer side, prosecute them on the safer side.
but like a little more leniently.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Or maybe we might not prosecute them at all.
That we
That's-
send them somewhere to fix their belief system.
No, but like you might
mental
not.
hospital.
But a soft compatibilist might not prosecute that person at all.
Yeah,
Like,
no, but isn't that how our world functions in a sense? Like, if you can prove in a legal case that you weren't in the right state of mind,
Yeah.
well, you did an action, they will send you to the mental hospital.
That is true, but I mean other things. Like I'm thinking about self-defense, for example.
The self-defense doesn't count in this.
No, but for example, like
How
let's
does
say I
self-defense
murdered someone accidentally, and it was self-defense, right?
No,
Now
but
the hard
how does that relate with compatibility?
So I'm coming to that. Now the hard compatibilist would be like, okay, like yeah, that made you do that, but it was still your own choice, and hence we can still persecute you for that. Whereas the soft compatibilist,
No,
yeah,
I
because
don't.
I do think so. And the soft compatibilist would rather hold the position, right? We're going to consider the determinist factor. So basically, compatibilism is like soft compatibilism is like slightly, I think, more
Lenient.
yeah, more lenient. It's going to be like, okay, yeah, we looked at the deterministic factors, right? Even though you had free will, these factors still existed, and so it has a more nuanced approach. So it'll be like, oh, this was in response to your social environment. That's what we were talking about earlier. So in response to your social environment, you did this, and even though it was free will and you made that choice, because we're considering those determinist factors, we're not going to like persecute
I love
you.
how you're explaining my belief system to me. No, okay, I was considering it more in the mental aspect, but
yeah.
that also applies
Yeah,
in
that's
accordance
fair.
to this.
But I think
Both of these situations apply to soft compatibilism.
for sure. But I think it's
That's how our reality currently functions,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Because like that, as I mentioned earlier,
yeah.
if you can prove somewhere in the course that you weren't in the right state of mind while you did this, they will not send you to jail. They will send you to a mental hospital to
Right.
fix the horrible upbringing or whatever, or attempt to at least the execution. This is debatable.
Exactly. So I think in our daily lives, at least, I think more like most people tend to be more
Okay.
soft compatibilist than they realize. Like
yeah.
definitely. But yeah, essentially that. And I think this is an incredibly poignant topic, and we would love to hear your opinion on this.
Yeah, comment down below. If you want to prove us wrong on something, please do so.
Yeah.
We're always looking to learn more.
Exactly. And I'm sure we've said a lot of like debatable stuff, controversial stuff throughout this
Yeah.
episode.
We appreciate controversy. Bring it on.
Yes, exactly. And if you want to correct us about something, please free to do so. Let us know about your opinion on free will, determinism, and
or
compatibilism.
like whether you're more libertarian, which is something we weren't able to discuss as much.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, and that's ad absurdum for you
That's
guys.
ad absurdum, the first episode.